In a corner of the city, far away from prying eyes and wandering strangers, sat a small 2-story building. Should anyone happen to walk past the building, they would barely register the shape of a house, as creeping vines covered the brick and overgrown bushes blocked the windows. The building's most notable feature was a small statue of a lion, perched outside the front gate. But even that was covered with twisting vines. Surely no one lives here, passers-by would tell themselves. Surely it's abandoned. But they'd be wrong. Someone did live there. A woman who spent her days hunched over notebooks and laboratory equipment, plotting and scheming. She passed her nights pacing the halls of the worn-down house until the socks on her feet were threadbare and full of holes. She had a singular mission, and she was running out of time. The woman's hands fidgeted over a vial, a bright green liquid shining inside. Before she could pour her concoction into a beaker, the woman doubled over, wrapping her arm around her stomach. Her chest heaved as a coughing fit racked her body. "I can't fail again," she mumbled, wiping her mouth with the back of her hand. Pouring the green solution into a beaker filled with clear liquid, she grabbed a notebook on her table, searching for an empty page. She flipped past equations and diagrams. She scanned scribblings she hoped no one would ever read. Her muscles grew heavy on her bones as she slumped onto her stool. Her breath caught in her throat as the bright green liquid slowly turned black as it mixed in the beaker. Letting her hand slide across the table, she knocked the now useless concoction to the floor, the glass shattering in a splatter of glistening pieces. "No, not again," the woman said, her voice barely a whisper. She gave in to the blackness overwhelming her senses and laid her head on the table, closing her eyes one final time. Across the city, through the woods, and over the rolling hills sat another building that went largely unnoticed by the general public. But it wasn't climbing vines or overgrown plants that kept it hidden. It was a power that emanated from deep within the building. The only ones who could see the structure, the only ones who could access it, were ones who belonged. Monsters. The students at Monster High were used to their school having a life of its own. Staircases wandered to nowhere, rooms disappeared and reappeared, and mirrors provided access to whole other worlds. But as the students went to their classes, had pickup games on the casket ball court, and dared each other to try the latest culinary creation in the creepateria, there was one thing they didn't know. One thing only the most observant monster could realize. As the woman across town took her last breath, something deep inside Monster High woke.